line. Bad bitches, every city in my tribe. Look behind. Booty dominate.
Now let's do some makeup. Let's have some fun. Let's argue. Let's get a debate going.
Yo,
Hello, welcome.
so, you got a lot going on your screen here. I'm not like, super opinionated, but what do you mean by like anti-white Christian nationalism?
Yeah, so white Christian nationalism is essentially this ideology that America was founded on Christian ideals and that our structure and laws should be based on Christian morality, which is obviously incorrect. But
Yeah, I mean,
they
well, it
think
isn't
that
that way
America
anymore
has been
necessarily, right?
stolen from them, and they essentially want it back. And then like the white
Wait,
part
who
also
believes
goes in.
that? Christian people?
People who promote a white Christian nationalism idea, yes, they think that America has been stolen from them.
Okay. Yeah, well, I don't think
Mark
that's the truth
Burns
at all.
is a great representative of that. Also, what is her name right now? Jackie Eubanks is also a great proponent of that. Then white Christian nationalism also has undertones of white supremacy attached to it.
Undertones of white supremacy. Okay. I don't feel like, I mean, because individuals are, everybody's different. And I feel like that's where, when people are discussing racism, they kind of use it as a blanket label. And I don't know if that you would even need to have that argument about some of the individuals who are like deeply embedded in that Christian ideology to dismiss the idea of America having to be a Christian country with those
A
ideas.
lot of what we're seeing from the Republican Party is kind of this base of white Christian nationalism. If you would like to go into specifics on
Well, my point is like, I feel you could kind of denounce what their beliefs are about Christianity, and not have to kind of say that they have what was the word you said about um, white supremacy? You said something they have like trace ties
Yeah,
to white
white Christian
supremacy.
nationalism is representative of white supremacy as well, especially the whitewashing of
It's
Christianity.
representative.
Yeah.
I do believe that history has been altered to kind of fit a narrative, and I feel like that happens in most countries. Yeah. So what about uh, gender roles? What's your opinion on that? What does that mean?
I think current societal gender roles in American society are meant to uphold a white patriarchal system. So typically, the current gender roles that we see benefit men and disproportionately marginalize women.
So what about like in Africa, how they have gender roles, and it's based off of some of the same principles of masculinity and femininity that kind of ties into some of Christian beliefs and just overwhelmingly some of society's beliefs of like gender roles.
I would push back a little bit that that's a representative in Africa, but could you tell me essentially what you view as like masculinity and femininity and tying that into gender roles for me so I can understand the point you're trying to make?
Like in a lot of undeveloped countries, men and women tend to have separate roles for whatever reason, the way that they, view each other, however their community structure is. The gender roles are not something that's exclusive to white people.
I never said it was.
I just don't understand why it has to tie into white people when it's more of like a problem with society and how they. I
You
just
said a
don't feel
white
like that's
patriarchal
necessary.
society. Would you agree that we live in a white patriarchal society?
I'm not too sure. That's kind of what I was asking you. What do you mean by patriarchal society?
Well, patriarchal refers to like patriarchy is a society run by men.
Do I think society is run by white men?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Yeah, specifically America.
Run? What do you mean by run? Because I don't know if anyone technically runs society.
That
In
people
what
who have
aspects?
power, people who typically have wealth and power are white men.
I don't know the statistics on that. I mean, I don't know if I would say that as a blanket statement. Bro.
Okay. How many presidents have been men?
All of them?
Okay. How many have been white?
44 or 45?
45 out of 46, so all but one. What percentage of Congress is male?
I don't know, like 80, 90?
So 75%. And
Okay.
that's just the current. If you look at the past 50 years, 95% of Congress has been male. And if we look at, let's just even say the 10 richest people in America, how many are men?
Wait, are you talking about like kind of like a, jobs in the government?
I mean, definitely elected representatives, but now I just asked you when it comes to wealth, the 10 richest
I
people in
wanted to break
America.
down your first point there because
Okay.
was there laws that were like limiting women for running for those positions as well?
Oh, absolutely. Which decade would you like to talk about?
Um, I guess all of them up until the point where there wasn't any laws. So what was that breaking point, and how did that happen?
So,
Because I'm trying to
so do
understand
you
what
recognize
the
that
argument
women
is.
were very like disadvantaged in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s to where they couldn't do very many things without the permission of their husband?
I'm aware of like voting rights. I don't
Right.
know
Not
much
aside from
more
voting,
else.
I mean just owning a credit card, having your name on property, even like if a woman wanted to leave her husband in terms of the opportunities that she had available to her. So it's interesting to me that you don't see kind of this white patriarchal society we live in when we look at the people who are representative in government, a majority, an overwhelming majority are white men. And if we look at people who have obtained wealth, like the 10 richest people, they are also white men.
Well, I was thinking in context of like today. I understand like in the past that those were key issues and they manifested in today. But I want to know if those are still real limitations or it's just kind of this is our adjustment phase into getting away from that. You
Well,
see what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
think those
Because
two ideas can't be mutually exclusive. Yes, women still do face barriers when it comes to obtaining wealth and power than men do.
in what ways, like today?
Well, it depends what area you want to talk about. We can talk about in terms of
Well, you
consumer
said
goods. We have the pink
power.
tax. We can
You
talk
said
about
power, though.
occupational segregation. We can talk about generational wealth. We can talk about the pay gap.
Wait, generational wealth. Hold on.
Correct.
I want to break down the power one though, because you're saying that I don't think there's any limitations on women being, a government official today, right?
Really? Then why do we see a disproportionate representation?
That wasn't really the thing I was trying to pose. I would say that, I mean, unless there's like laws that are permitting any women from, being a government official, it's like maybe, are you talking about like elected officials when you're saying like power? I'm trying to understand what you mean
Correct.
by like, okay,
Power
so
or
like
wealth.
elected officials, maybe people don't like a certain policy that someone has, and that's why I wouldn't vote for them. So
Do
that's
you
just
have
one
any like
aspect.
evidence or like something that you can point to, or is this just your opinion?
Oh no, I'm just trying to break it down logically and understand what you mean by women don't have the same opportunity to attain power as white men today.
Correct.
I'm trying to figure out why that is. Oh, well, you're saying it's correct, but you're not really.
Because of the patriarchal society.
What affects women today from being a powerful government entity?
I just listed 5 things that we could talk about. If you want to talk about the pink tax when it comes to buying consumer goods, if you want to talk about occupational segregation,
what does that mean?
Please stop. Please let me finish before you interrupt. If you want to talk about occupational segregation, the opportunities that women have in certain occupations that have been male dominated for the last several decades, if you want to talk about the wage pay gap, if you want to talk about parenthood differences, if you want to talk about it, it doesn't necessarily
Do you
have
want
to
to
be
break
laws.
one of those down, or are we just going to say
One second.
Because I would
If
like to
it doesn't,
understand
I want you to understand, but I think an important part of you understanding is also listening to what I'm saying. So when it doesn't necessarily have to be laws that are barriers, it can be societal attitudes.
What does that mean in terms of becoming like a government official as a woman?
Attitudes that people have towards women running for office.
And what is the evidence that suggests that people's attitudes are the reason why some women
We
can't
typically
become a
find
government
women not
official?
qualified for leadership positions.
Sorry, what did you say?
There is a majority of men who typically, there's an attitude that women are too emotional to run for public office, that men are better leaders, and these kind of all have to go to the societal gender roles that we are in place.
I haven't heard one government official say that. Are you saying that's what the people say, and that's how the people think?
It's societal attitude, absolutely.
How do you know that?
Well, do you want like a specific study? Or do you want to see that, like you can see that in the wage pay gap?
I'm so fucking cute, bitch.